Hi everyone, it's Fiona Edgar. I'm a karmic and esoteric astrologer from Northern Ireland, and today I am going to be talking about the upcoming new moon in Scorpio. So I'm sharing my screen with you right now. This is actually a bit of an astrology lesson as well. I know a lot of you out there would like to learn more about astrology, so in future when I do these videos about the lunations, I am going to be sharing my screen so that you can learn from it. So this new moon, it occurs on the 28th of October if you're in the UK. So it's really early in the morning at 3:38 a.m. If you're in the United States, the new moon will fall on the 27th. So obviously with the different time zones over there, it's going to be, there will be different times, but it's going to fall in the evening if you're in the States. Okay, so this new moon actually kicks off Scorpio season. So as you can see there, the new moon is always a conjunction between the sun and the moon in the same sign at this exactly the same degree. The sun just entered Scorpio. So we're in Scorpio season until the 22nd of November. I'm a tropical astrologer because we can feel the seasons around us, and that's what tropical astrology reflects. Our ancestors acknowledge the changing in the seasons, and with every change in sign, we can see it reflected in the world around us. In nature, in the temperature, in the weather, and even in the emotions and feelings in people around us and their behavior. So that's why I follow tropical astrology. No doubt I'll get some emails from people saying, no, you need to use the sidereal zodiac. This works for me, so this is what I use. And my clients are proof that it does work, okay? So, yes, Scorpio season brings us into much shorter days and longer nights as autumn turns into winter. It is a time of transformation. So we can see that in the vegetation around us starts to die. We get the first frosts of the year, which start to kill off the grass and the flowers. The leaves are dropping from the trees, leaving them looking sort of like skeletons. So we can see that is a time of deep transformation around us, and because of that, because we are also part of nature, it's time for us to look inward and to work on transforming ourselves and our lives. During this time, we tend to be more drawn to the mysteries, conspiracies, the occult, and everything that is intense and passionate, because Scorpio is a very intense and passionate sign. During this time, the veils between the physical and spiritual realms are very thin. So we may notice, if you're kind of sensitive to energies and spirits, and that you will get more spirit activity around you. It seems like our world is much closer to their world around any time when the seasons change, but especially in Scorpio season. It's also a good time to work with the shadow side. So the shadow side, are the things in our personality that we kind of suppress. The dark side, which we don't acknowledge, or we choose to hide that from ourselves. So Scorpio season helps us to analyze and ourselves and the world around us, and to dig beneath the surface, so we can clearly see which areas of our lives that we need to transform. Scorpio is passionate, it's possessive, and it's very extreme. Scorpio people are all or nothing. They're very black and white. It is a fixed sign, so they can be very fixed in their ways, and their relationships and their thoughts. But the sun's transit through this sign does create an atmosphere suited to intimacy and exploring the depth of our emotions. Scorpio is not scared of emotion. Anyone that has ever been in a relationship with someone who has a Scorpio sun, moon, Venus, or rising will attest to that. Scorpio people they're very deep and emotional. They are really good judges of character. They're especially good at analyzing the people that they're in a relationship with. A lot of people transform from their relationships with Scorpio people because the Scorpio person makes them aware of things which they hadn't thought of before. So let's talk about this new moon. So the new moon is a time of new beginnings. It starts a new cycle in the Scorpio part of our birth chart. So as you can see, this is the chart in front of me here. This is the chart for the new moon. So like a birth chart, this is the birth chart of the new moon. So we will look at each of the houses as we would in a birth chart where the planets fall and the aspects that they're making to each other. They're very important. So what do we do on a new moon? We set intentions for the next couple of weeks. So coming into Scorpio season, what is it that I want to change about myself or my life? This new moon is actually very focused on relationships and partnerships because, well, first of all, there's the rising sign, which is one of the most important parts of the chart, is in Libra. Libra is all about partnerships. Second of all, Venus here is in Scorpio, joining the sun and the moon and Mercury. Venus does make a conjunction to Mercury, which is in its shadow. Mercury actually goes retrograde next week. That's definitely something to pay attention to. This new moon is going to spark off the events that you will be dealing with throughout the retrograde. Now, this is going to affect everyone differently. Why is that? Because we all have different charts. We all have different planets in our charts. The new moon is going to be making different aspects to all of our charts. So it's important that you remember that. If you really want to know, exactly what's going to happen on this lunation, you need to get a private reading from me, and I can go over your chart. And I also use tarot cards in my readings, so I can provide specific details on anything that's going on, anything that you need enlightenment or clarification on. It's always good to get an astrologer's perspective because they will be able to tell you what is going on and when you should expect things to end and change. Okay, so like I said, this new moon does kick off Scorpio season. So this is the new moon where you plant the seeds that are going to come to fruition on the next full moon in Scorpio. Scorpio rules over change, transformation, death. Scorpio season is where things tend to die. I don't mean an actual physical death of a person. Obviously, that can happen. But during Scorpio season, we tend to get rid of things that no longer serve us. Relationships, people, friendships, jobs, or, even those deep-rooted psychological traps that we get ourselves into. And we all do it. Come on, there's not a person on the planet that doesn't do that. This is when we can finally get to the bottom of some things. Scorpio season can be a time of great clarity. So it's time to embrace and face our shadow sides. So in this chart, we do have the ascendant is in Venus. So automatically we say that because Libra is a partnership-focused sign, we can immediately say that this new moon is going to be about relationships for the most part, okay? Or about, similar things that Libra rules over is balance, harmony, how to live with other people, how to acknowledge their own needs as well as as their needs as well as our own needs. So these two planets here, this is the new moon, this is the sun and the moon, these little symbols here. I'm going to explain these things to you as if you don't know what any of it means, okay? Because I know a lot of people want to learn astrology, but they don't know where to start. Well, I can say, yeah, there's a lot of courses right now that you can take, which are a good thing, but it will not make you a good astrologer. What makes you a good astrologer is studying charts over and over again. When you take one of those astrology courses, it will teach you all of the basics, like aspect signs, birth charts, solar return charts, but it will not give you the experience that you need to become a good astrologer. That actually takes years. So anyone that tells you, yeah, take my course and you will become a really great astrologer in just a couple of months, that's not true, okay? And the second thing is that you need a lot of life experience to be a good astrologer, because astrology is all about life, and relationships, jobs, children, all of the things that are big issues in our lives. So you need to have experience in those areas before you give advice to another person. Okay, sorry, got off on a tangent there. So back to this chart. So this conjunction falls into the second house of personal resources. So that would be money that we earn. So finances is going to be another big theme of this new moon. It also rules over our morals and how we value ourselves. So there's going to be some kind of shift in how we see ourselves. So this cusp of the seventh house, this reads over the relationships that we have with other people. This does look a little bit ouchy because we have Chiron. Chiron is sitting on the descendant, and Chiron is an ouchy planet. It's not called the wounded healer for nothing, okay? Chiron brings up our wounds and our pain. And in this chart here, it's associated with relationships. So this new moon is going to bring up some painful relationship issues so that you can heal them and you can move on from that and transform that part of your life so that it becomes unstuck. Because there are so many people and they do the same thing over and over again in all of their relationships. They get into relationships with different people. One doesn't work out, so they start another one with another person, and they do the same thing again and again, which ultimately gives them the same result. Because what happens when you do the same thing over and over again, you get the same outcome, you get the same result. So they do the same thing in every relationship, and they wonder why it always ends up, ending in the same way. And then they start to do crazy things like say, oh, I'm never getting into another relationship again. All women are the same, or all men are the same. And they blame, this entire gender of people when in fact they created it. It's them, they have this thing that they always do, and it always ends up the same way. Now, I'm not saying that it's always their fault. So some people may always end up with people that cheat on them. So this Scorpio new moon is trying to say, hang on a second, I need you to examine yourself a bit more closely. I want you to transform that part of yourself so that you can heal your relationships and you can become happy. That's what we all want, right? So Mars is sitting here in the first house over your identity and your appearance. Now, the first house is all Libra. So you may be doing something, there may be something that you're doing in your relationships or in your life just to please other people. So what is that? You need to be authentic. You need to be able to be authentic in your relationships, because if you're not, then what is that? It's not a real relationship. You're being false. So this Mars is in the first house here of identity. So there's going to be like an identity crisis that you will have to deal with. Now this may be a crisis where you suddenly have an epiphany that you've been leading a false life, pretending to be someone that you're not, doing something that, like I said, you're only doing it to please other people. So Mars here in the first house, so Mars is the planet of war and combat. It's making a really nasty square. So a square is a hard aspect. This red line here is a square. It's making a square to Saturn and then more loosely to Pluto. That is hard. Like that is, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, that happens on the same day. So you may have a big blowout with your partner on that day. There may be some power struggles to deal with. You may feel like your partner's being overly controlling. You're sick of being controlled. And just remember, because this first house is in Libra here, control comes in many forms. Control isn't just when someone tells you what to do all the time. Because this first house is in Libra, you might be being controlled by someone who pretends that they are this nice person, this peaceful person. They don't raise their voice to you. They don't shout at you or, say things that upset you, but they do things in a passive aggressive way, which are really damaging and really hurtful to you. So they may ignore you. Ignoring your partner is one of the, that's one of the tools of a narcissist. That's one way that they will be able to get your energy all focused on them, is by ignoring you, because then you're going, where are they? Why are they not talking to me? All kinds of things going through your head. So this may trigger abandonment issues, this new moon, because Chiron here is sitting on the 7th house. It's in Aries. Chiron in Aries can create knee-jerk responses to things, which is an indicator of a deep wound that you have that needs addressed. So this person may be ignoring you. They're not talking to you. They're not paying you enough attention. So what happens? You blow up at them. All of this 7th house is in Aries. Aries is a sign known not to mince its words. It's very honest. It's very forthright, but it can be aggressive. So there's this conflict here between, Mars trying to keep the peace or just plain out ignoring you and not giving you the attention. And then there's this Chiron here, saying, why are they not talking to me? So this is all stuff that has to be resolved around this new moon. This is why the universe these planets are lining up and reflecting what is going on. They're not causing it, okay? That's another misconception that I hear a lot about astrology, especially when it comes to Mercury retrograde. Oh, now you can blame Mercury for your computer problems and all of that. Well, you can, but it's because that you made these choices, you made these decisions. So it's being reflected in the sky above. So it's not all bad stuff around this new moon. There are some good things. One of the other main things is that the new moon makes a really sharp opposition. So as you can see, new moon, sun and moon here, opposing Uranus. So Uranus is in Taurus and it's in the 8th house. Uranus in Taurus, now this is going to be transiting through Taurus for a while. Another couple of years, I think probably another 6 years. What it's doing is it's shaking up our comfort zones, because Taurus doesn't want to change. Taurus likes everything the way that it likes. Taurus is another fixed sign where they can get really fixed in their ways and they do the same thing every day. Uranus is changing all of that for all of us. So, okay, there's no avoiding that. So it's shaking up our comfort zones. It's saying, hey, I know you want to sit on the couch every night and watch TV, but as a spiritual person here, you've come to Earth with this responsibility. sitting on the couch every night watching stupid YouTube videos or watching Coronation Street and TV, yeah, you're not really making the best out of your life here on Earth. Earth is hard, but it's also a really excellent school. It's a place of learning. We're all doing our best. We're all struggling here. There's no point in bitching and moaning about it. Just get on with it, okay? You have to transform. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind and your life is going to get really hard. That's the thing. I know that I've talked about this in other videos. I don't want to keep repeating myself, but you're meant to be transforming so that the frequency of the earth can also transform. It can transform if your energy is weighing it down because you're refusing to do your inner work. Okay, so we need to people complain about all of these leaders that they hate. They hate Trump, they hate, Trudeau, they hate Boris Johnson. But what they don't understand is that these people are a reflection of, the masses and humanity on a collective level. So if you don't want those people there, then you need to do your own work. Okay, so the 8th house rules joint finances, joint intimacy, sex, secrets. With Uranus here, there's going to be some surprises on this new moon and some shocks. One possibility is that your partner may tell you some secret or something that they've been keeping under wraps or hiding and not discussing with you. They may spring something on you, which is deeply shocking, but you need to know that so that you can move on and process things. So that's one possibility. Another possibility, because you have all of these, Venus, Sun, and Moon all in the 2nd house here. This all rules over your finances and your money that you earn yourself. The 8th house is about your partner's finances, joint finances like loans, inheritance, money from business. I feel would also fall under here. One possibility is that you start to question the way that you're earning your money. Maybe you're working for someone else and you're kind of tired of that. This is a really good chart for starting a business, although Mercury is in its shadow, so you should probably wait until the retrograde happens before you start that. But you can, on a new moon is when we plant the seeds, okay? So there's nothing from stopping you making some plans, writing a business plan out on your paper, that kind of thing. There's nothing to stop you from doing that. So although the North Node, this funny little thing here, the North Node shows where we should be going or where we want to go, but it's not always the easiest place to get to. So it's in the 10th house. That would rule over your career and your public image. So there's meant to be focus on this area. So again, that would point towards your job. So the ruler of the North Node is the moon, which we know is in Scorpio because it's the new moon in Scorpio. So there's supposed to be some kind of shift in your thoughts about how what do you want to do with your life? How do you want to earn your money? What is it that you want to do? Because what you have been doing is getting old and not working for you anymore. Neptune here is in the 6th house of your routines, daily routine, how you work on a day-to-day level. Also your health. This is the house that Virgo naturally is associated with. So Neptune in here creates this kind of fog. Maybe you're just sick and tired of doing the same thing every day. And when you do get to that stage, that's the universe's way of trying to tell you, look, it's getting a drag because you're not supposed to be doing it. I want you to change here and try something new. You've been doing the same thing every day for the last 25 years. It's time for you to try something different. but you don't know what to do. That's okay. Just set the intention that you want to do something new, you want a new job, you want a new relationship, and the universe will conspire to make that happen with you. So back here to the Venus influence on the new moon. So the ascendant, the chart ruler is Venus. Venus is a 24-degree Scorpio, and the sun and moon are at 4. That is a conjunction, okay? Despite what anyone says, a conjunction is when the planets are in the same sign. That is what makes it conjunct. So you get these people and they say, oh, it's not conjunct because this planet is like 2 degrees too wide to be a conjunction. Like that is bad astrology, okay? This is a conjunction, it's just a very loose one. So the universe is really trying to say here, I want you to change in your relationship. I want to change what you're doing. I want you to change the way that you're thinking. I want you to change the way you're communicating with your partner because it's not being effective. So communication is going to be something that needs to be addressed around the time of this. If we look to the 12th house here, which is the most hidden part of the chart, it's in Virgo. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So Mercury in the most hidden part of the chart, someone isn't being honest. Someone isn't being honest here about their thoughts, about their feelings, about anxiety that they are experiencing, about, stuff that's going on around and round in their head. And they're not expressing it. That is the worst thing that you can do for yourself, but also for other people around you, because you're being dishonest. When you have all this stuff going over and over in your head, and someone is trying to get you to talk about it, but you keep saying, oh, nothing's wrong, you're being dishonest. Especially if it's your partner asking you that, you're trying to mess with their heads, and yeah, it's a form of gaslighting. So instead of ignoring them or continuing to say that there's nothing wrong, just be honest, be brave, own up, own your shit. Don't just try and pretend that everything's okay and do the same thing over and over again, because what's going to happen is your relationship is going to go the same way that every other relationship went, because you continue to do the same thing. So it's really not a good idea. You have Jupiter here in the 3rd house, which rules over communication. So any conversation that you're brave enough to have is going to be really good for you. It's going to be fruitful. It's going to go better than you expected. Maybe your mind is going to be, just simply by sharing your thoughts with another person, they may share an idea with you, which you didn't consider before. Again, this comes back to the 8th house and Uranus in there. Oh, I didn't think of that. Why didn't I think of that? But thank you for that, for giving me that information, because it's really helping me to change things. So just, communicate and try and be a bit more open, because this is what the problem is here. Part of the shadow side here is this hidden Virgo. It's hidden communication. It's maybe because Virgo is a super critical sign. The thing is, they don't always say it, and they usually don't. They criticize inside their own mind, and then what happens is, because they're not, and this, I'm not just talking about Virgos, this is a Virgo trait. I've known a lot of Virgo people in my life, and this is one of the things that they do. I love Virgo. It's actually one of my most favorite signs. Oh, sorry, I'm an astrologer. I'm not supposed to have a favorite, but there you go. But like all signs have their, their shadow side, and the shadow side of Virgo is this ongoing criticism that they have about other people that they don't verbalize. So what happens is that they become passive aggressive, and it's infuriating for anyone else that's around them, because especially if these people are Aries. Okay, so we have the 7th house all in Aries. Our partners are going to be acting Aries in some way around this new moon. So if your partner is the one being passive aggressive, and Aries people, they hate that. So if you're someone with a strong Mars or Aries, the worst thing for you is your partner being passive aggressive. or like playing stupid games with you and just flat out not being honest with you. That makes you want to, like, that is so infuriating because you find it so childish and so cowardly. Because they're just not brave enough, and everyone around them knows what is really going on, but they're pretending it's not happening. It's a very destructive thing. So yeah, Aries people, they have not got time for that. So do not do that around Mars or Aries like people in the new moon. So this Mars here is making a square to Saturn and Pluto. This is ouchy, okay? There's a couple of different ways that this is going to manifest. Like I said, it's going to manifest. The worst possible way is going to be this passive aggressive energy, where someone is being really hostile and passive aggressive, but putting this really fake smile on their faces. That's going to blow shit up. There's going to be a huge explosion because other people are not going to deal with that very well. The other way that this could manifest is that you're trying to change things, you're trying to transform, and other people are creating this blockage because Mars square Saturn is a huge blockage. This is not just a blockage from other people. It could be a blockage from, authority, because Capricorn is all about authority. It could be the government. It could be your boss. It could be your landlord. Okay, so this is because this falls into the fourth house. That could be, that's associated with your home. Could be your landlord. It could be the government. It could be anyone that has authority over you. It could be the courts, the law, because Jupiter is still in Sagittarius. It's going to be leaving there shortly. But one of the issues that it has brought to the surface, has been legal issues. So those are just some possibilities about how this is going to manifest. It's going to be different for everyone because we all have different charts. Some of you may have a very positive experience in the new moon, and some of you may have a crap experience. But don't worry, because everything runs in cycles. And these things that happen around the new moon, they're not supposed to be permanent unless you break up with someone, which isn't advisable. Like, it's because Mercury is in its shadow now, it's going to go retrograde next week. It's really not advisable to make any big life decisions at this time because you're going to regret it. And then it may be too late for you to go back. So don't do that. Don't end your relationship or end your, suddenly quit your job. Make sure that you plan ahead and you think things through, because Mercury here is in its shadow and it's conjunct Venus. So don't make any sudden decisions. With this Uranus here, Uranus is all about sudden decisions, but it can be hasty. It can be overly hasty at times. And just not think things through, and then there's chaos and everything is a huge mess. And if you just sat and thought things over, or talk to your partner instead of making these, sudden changes, you could have avoided all this drama. So yeah, that's, I'm not going to lie to you. This could be a difficult one for many of us. But it's happening for a reason, guys. It's not happening because we live in a hostile universe. It's happening because we are supposed to be making changes and not stuck doing the same thing day in, day out until we reach a certain age. And then the next thing you know, we feel like we've wasted our lives. You don't want to be in that situation. We have more responsibility now. If we are under the age of 50 now, or under the age of 60, those generations have more responsibility to be authentic. Because it was much more difficult to be authentic in previous years, previous generations. There was much more pressure put on us by religion, our families, society. Much, much more pressure. It was much more difficult to be your own person. Now it's pretty easy to if you live in the West, it's fairly easy to change your life if you want to. But if you're lazy and stuck in your comfort zone and you have all of these amazing gifts that the world needs you to share with right now, but you're not, you're sitting inside and just, watching TV or doing stuff that just isn't healthy, then things are going to change without consulting you. That's something that you will have to deal with. So a lot of this is to do with your identity, because Mars is in the first house of your identity. Who am I? What am I doing? Am I only being this way to please someone? Do I really believe these things? Am I being authentic? Those are all questions that you need to ask yourself. So I hope that clarified things or gave you a little bit of insight. You have a couple of days before the new moon. Take out a piece of paper, write some things down that you would like to manifest over the new moon. What are the energies that you want to create? What changes do you want in your relationship? If you're single, what kind of person do you want to manifest? And remember, you need to be an energetic match for that person in order for them to stay in your lives or to appear in your life. So if you want this person that is spiritual, ambitious, got everything together, they have a good job, they're honest, how do you match that energy? Are you all of those things? Because in order to get someone like that, you need to be doing all of those things. You need to be honest, you need to be dependable, you need to be someone that is self-aware. You get what I'm saying. So those are all things to think about. Scorpio new moon, we may find ourselves, doing a lot of research, maybe researching the occult, maybe researching, conspiracies and things like that. Digging just beneath the surface, because Scorpio is never satisfied by what it sees on the surface, because it knows that there's so much more. There's so much more, going on. So don't get caught up in politics and stuff like that. I mean, politics, it's a game. It really is a game, and the same people are in it over and over again. They are benefiting from it. I used to follow a lot of politics until I realized that all it was doing was wasting my energy and wasting my, my brain power, changing my frequency, lowering my frequency. If you truly want things to change, and I know that this is something that I've talked about, but if you really want things to change, then you need to start with yourself, because you can't expect the rest of the world to change whenever everyone is just sitting there doing nothing and not doing the work that they need to do on themselves. So I hope that all gave you something to think about. If you would like a private reading, you can contact me on my website, fionaedgar.com. I offer readings on career, your life purpose, your relationships, what's coming up for you, and the natural gifts and talents that you have in your birth chart, that when you work with them, it makes your life so much easier. So hit me up, shoot me a message. You can add me on Facebook as well if you want to say hi. And I will speak to you when I do my next video.